What is up, everyone? Today we're going to do one of my favourite things, and that is a little bit of YouTube time travel. So we're going to unbox something today. I'm going to show you guys what's in the box. Then we're going to pause this video. Tonight and tomorrow I'm going to record a completely different video that you guys have already seen, which is the next part of the home entertainment setup, rebuild, build series, whatever. Then I'm going to come back to this video, finish it off, and upload it. So we're working kind of like backwards but forwards at the moment, which is kind of interesting. So let me explain. In this box is my Sanyo VTC 6500 Betamax VCR. It's been on a little holiday to my good friend Kevin. I've spoken about Kevin before. He is my go-to Betamax guy for all things Betamax. He's a complete expert, and he is a dab hand at these machines. He is spot on, and hopefully he's done it once again. And I know he has. I've got no doubts whatsoever. But for those of you who don't know, I originally sent this machine to Kevin a couple of years ago when I first received it, because this machine didn't work at all. He got it up and running and got it working flawlessly. But suddenly, after changing my TV setup and buying this TV stand, you guys all saw that in one of the previous parts a good while ago now, I started having problems with the VCR. And it all makes sense, because I will show you guys in a minute what he found inside the machine. So that's why I had to change TV stands. That is why I had to also send the machine away for a good service. But I wanted to do it anyway, even if I wasn't having any issues. I want to send it away on a semi-regular basis. Maybe if I'm not spotting anything wrong with it, you know, it can wait or whatever. I don't really know, but I want to keep it in tip-top condition. And Kevin has reported back to me via email that this machine is doing extremely well, and it is a fine example of this model. So I'm chuffed to bits that I've managed to look after the machine and not put any contaminated tapes or anything horrible inside. So, apart from what was shoved inside by one of my dear children. I don't know which one, probably the littlest one, but maybe the big one, who knows. But anyway, it doesn't matter. All of this is kind of working out for the best anyway. So I've got my machine back, and we're going to delve into it today. And I'm going to use this as a bit of an excuse to make a video about one of my favourite pieces of technology that I own. I felt a bit weird making the video about the Sony Betamax that I purchased, knowing that I'd never made a video about my actual own personal machine that I'd been using for the last couple of years. So it's about time I made a dedicated video for this guy. Alright folks, let's dig into this box. Oh yes! Everyone, I forgot to mention this. I'm going to have to pull you down off the tripod. So Kevin and I have been chatting for quite some time via email now, and we've chatted about all sorts of things Betamax related. And he was kind enough, with the return of my machine, which is right here underneath, he was kind enough to send me some tapes that he thought I'd enjoy. And I believe this one he's actually recorded specifically for me. So Kevin, if you're watching this, I hope you are, because you deserve to see this wonderful machine working really well in its environment, in its home environment. Thank you so much for this. It's extremely generous of you. So here we've got 3 retail tapes, big box tapes, looking good through the bubble wrap. Can't wait to see what they are. And then of course 1 recorded tape. So let's take a look and see what they are. So the first tape is, drum roll, The Rats. Can you guys see that? Put it there, hopefully you can. The Rats.
Still no one.
Do you want to read the tagline?
Tonight they will rise from the darkness beneath the cities to feed.
Oh, nasty, man. Nasty. Oh, no way!
The Evil Dead.
The Evil Dead?
Nice.
Oh man, That is awesome. I was bidding on this and it was in nowhere near this condition. Let me just get to by the camera. Is he alright with that tape?
Yeah.
Check this out, guys. I was bidding on this tape about... when was it, Jess? Back in August, was it? Yeah, because I was doing the festival and I was trying to bid on it and run lights at the same time, I remember. Check this out, guys. This is awesome. Such nice condition. Oh, that's a gorgeous cover. Wicked. So we've got The Evil Dead. I am extremely lucky. Let me show you guys the other one while I'm here. Never heard of this one, but these are my favourite type, the ones I've never heard of that look incredibly right up my street. Oh, look at that.
What have you got?
The Rats. Awesome. So those are those two so far. Next up we have got, and I'm a little bit out of frame, but it's going to be a bit like that. We have got... Oh, what a title. The Deadly Spawn. Have you ever heard of that one? No, nor have I, which is awesome. Oh, man. The Deadly Spawn. Dude, that is just... Look at that, Jess.
Nice.
Oh, don't look at it, Arlo. Don't look at it. These are for Mummy and Daddy to see when you're asleep. Ah, nice. So these are all big box tapes in wonderful condition. Really nice. These will be placed on my shelf and they're going to look spectacular.
You got one more.
Sorry?
You got one more.
Yes, I've got one more.
Baby's got one.
Okay, I'm going to put these safe. Arlo didn't like the fact I took it off him, but I got to show you guys. So, this is a Scotch tape L750. It looks brand spanking new. Really nice. And Kevin has recorded a couple of films on here for me. I think that's what he's done. Anyway, if I remember correctly from his email, there's no label to say what they are. So I guess it's up to me to find out when I put it in. So this could be the first tape that I try. An awesome little collection of tapes there. Absolutely wonderful. Over the moon, really am. The thing is with collecting these Betamax tapes is they are fairly expensive. So it's once in a blue moon you can get your hands on one. I don't keep an eye on the auctions religiously. Plus I'm having a few issues with my PayPal account at the moment, so that doesn't help. But it's so nice just to receive some tapes in a box. A complete surprise. Two films which I've never heard of, which are my favourite kind, and a classic that I've wanted on the format since I've begun collecting, and I just haven't been able to get my hands on it because the price skyrockets too high, and that is The Evil Dead. In gorgeous condition. That's the nicest condition I've seen it in. So, thank you, Kevin. Let's move on to the machine itself. We're basically just going to pull it out of the box. Oh, hang on a second. Jess, you want to see this?
Come in.
How could I forget? You ready? There it is, in all of its glory. So for those of you who are curious, I've left some tape residue on there. For all of you who are curious, this was what one of our wonderful children wedged into the machine. And this is the probable cause of the issues that I was having. They weren't mega issues, but they have now been sorted, and this was likely the cause. Mr. Potato Head's here, and it's been returned, so it can now go back with the rest of Mr. Potato Head. Okay, folks. Arlo's getting agitated, I'm taking too long. Oh, yes. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to put all this back and then I'll show you guys the machine. So here's a quick look at the front, and everything looks absolutely spot on. There are no cracks or dents or any kind of obvious damage. It's a bit of a bulge. Bit of a bulge on the side there. Has it had a bit of a knock there, perhaps? Yeah, not sure if you guys can see that. I'll have to ask Kevin, because I don't remember that bulge, but that could have been there. So you guys can see that. Just might have had the smallest of knocks there. But that could have been from last time. I think it had a knock last time. To be perfectly honest, folks, I can't quite remember. But still, one of the really cool things about when I had this originally serviced is the front membrane. If you look at any photograph of a 6500 or a couple of videos on YouTube, you'll see that everybody else's has the sort of goldish membrane, and where the buttons are, they're all cracked and broken. And this one is a perfect brand new membrane that looks spot on. Apologies for him in the background. He's incredibly vocal. Oh, you're excited, aren't you, little dude? So I think what we'll do is save the talking for the second half of the video. I'm going to plug this in really quickly and let's see what she does. And then I'm going to unplug it, take it upstairs, put it safe until I put the new TV stand together and it has a safe place to go. Alright guys, here it is. I've plugged it in temporarily. Let's power it on and give it a go. I've got one of my tester tapes just to give it a go, just in case it's had a drop or whatever, something's become dislodged or whatever during transit. You can see how much of an expert I am on these mechanisms. I don't have a clue what I'm talking about. It's just best to try it with a tape that I don't care about damaging. Forward. Hey. Okay. Play. Let's see how she goes. I'm so sorry about the grease and whatnot on the television, folks. And that is working. That is working. Awesome. There it goes. There is sound, folks. I just got it really quiet. I don't want to do any copyright risking. It's just not worth it. So, there we go. We've got proof that it is working. Super smooth. Buttery smooth. Okay, let's try this. Desperate to try this tape. Let's have a look. Oh yes. This was a fresh recording made just for me. Folks, this is Friday the 13th. I think I told Kevin that I bought the first one and it didn't work. It was ruined. I think I told him. And I'm trying to collect the whole series on Betamax. And the first one just goes for crazy money. But now I've got a copy, which is awesome. And the picture is bang on. The picture is absolutely solid. It looks really, really good. This thing is working wonderfully. I believe... you like that, buddy? I'm going to turn it off because you shouldn't be watching this. Hey, it's okay. It's okay, it's gone now. I think there's a second film on there. I'm going to have to check back on the email. I think he mentioned in the email that there was 2 films on that tape, so we'll watch through Friday the 13th and we'll see what's after it and I'll report back. But on first inspection, and I know it's perfect anyway, it always is, absolutely brilliant. I'm over the moon. Kevin, thank you so much, man. This is brilliant. I'm over the moon. I'm so excited. So we're going to do some crazy YouTube time travel. I'm going to put this video on hold. We're going to do another huge video and then I'll be back. So stay tuned. I am back, folks, after a little break time travelling around the place doing other videos. I am now back with a brand new
TV setup, looking absolutely magnificent. We've been rocking this setup now for over a month. It is now January, the Christmas decorations are gone, and I'm a very happy man. I am finally happy with the setup. Obviously, things never stay the same forever. I still need to paint this, and I've recently blown a tweeter in one of my Technics, which I'm gutted about. So there are a couple of jobs that need doing. Also, I need to tie back cabling and whatnot. Nothing's ever finished, but for now, the basics are finished. So that's pretty cool. This video, as you guys know, is all about my Betamax VCR, which is still working tremendously. It is absolutely gorgeous. So what I'm going to do is just talk a little bit more about the VCR, and I'm going to kick things off by showing you guys something very, very cool. So when I redid this setup, it wasn't just the stand that was a huge change, it was the main way that I control everything. I splashed out and finally, after all this time, got myself a universal remote. This is the Logitech Harmony Ultimate. And the coolest thing is, I've taught this remote how to control a VCR from 1983. So check this out. You've basically got different, what do they call them? Activities, that's right. So as you can see, watch a DVD, watch Apple TV, watch a VHS tape, and it goes down all the consoles and whatnot. You can see all of my consoles. And then here, I've got watch a beta tape. So if I press this activity, you'll hear a few little clicks. So basically, all the remote has done so far is it's powered up the TV, set the TV to the correct input, powered up the receiver, set the receiver to the correct input. It's done nothing with the VCR, because the power button on the VCR is mechanical. It's right here. It's currently on, as you can see by the LED indicator. But the magic happens when we put a tape in. So I've prepared Karate Kid 2. Let's grab Karate Kid 2. Little jump cut there. I didn't just get a phone call in the middle of recording again. Anyway, Karate Kid 2 in the machine. Now then, this is where the cool part starts. The tape is now in. I'm sat on the sofa, and with a remote, brand new modern remote, controlling this VCR. I'm going to hit fast forward. Never gets old. And I'm going to hit play. I'm going to crank the volume down a little bit because my kids are asleep. And there you have it. Check this out, guys. Pause. A lovely pause on this machine. Look how steady that is. Play. Okay, pause. Look at that, guys. Glorious, glorious pause. Nothing to do with the remote, but I'm just demonstrating features. So, little fast forward here through the trailer. Maybe we want to press play again. And we can do. Now, you may notice that the aspect ratio is wrong. It's stretched out to 16:9. So the beauty of this remote is I can map things to the buttons. I don't want to make this sound like an advert for Logitech Harmony, but it truly is amazing how I can integrate an Xbox One, a receiver, a modern television, and a Betamax VCR from the early 80s, all with one control. So I've mapped my aspect ratio for the TV onto this red button. So with just a couple of presses, I can set it to 4:3, which is awesome. So that's now in the correct ratio to watch the video. That's about it, really. Stop. And it stops, which is mint. So how I achieved this was really easy. So here we have the original remote, and this was also provided to me by Kevin. So mega awesome right there. I didn't get the original remote with the video, but no video is complete without its original remote, so that's awesome. Obviously, before we got the universal remote, just like the remotes for all our other gear, this was the remote we were using for the video. But now I don't need it. I can keep it somewhere hidden away and keep it safe because this guy controls it just fine. Now the way it works is if your device is not listed as a supported device on the Logitech database, then obviously this ancient video is not. You can attempt to teach the remote the infrared commands. Now just to be clear, when I originally saw this feature, it was very impressive to me, and I kind of thought that you could individually, button by button, teach the Logitech Harmony what the buttons did on your remote control for the given piece of equipment, and you would be able to map those buttons to whatever buttons you wanted on the Harmony and tell it the important ones like play and stop that were mapped to the transport controls and stuff. But it doesn't work like that. It basically asks you a series of questions. It takes you through a wizard. So you point the remote at the little infrared receiver on the back of the Logitech Harmony, and it asks you to press certain buttons. So it asks you to like press button 1. Does your remote have a button 1? No. Or like if it doesn't have a button number 1, then skip this step and stuff like that. So I was going through the wizard and I was like, oh god, this is not going to work. And then it asked me a couple of things, press fast forward or press whatever. And then all of a sudden it found a profile that mapped correctly. And I really wasn't expecting this because when I was using the Sanyo remote and I had some LEDs behind the TV a little while ago now, it was doing the craziest things to the LEDs. It would like make them chase and do things to the LEDs that even the remote that I had for that lighting control couldn't do. So it was sending out some pretty bizarre infrared stuff that I thought couldn't possibly be mapped to any kind of semi-modern profile within the Logitech Harmony, but I was wrong. Every control that you would possibly need from the sofa, which is basically the main transport controls and that's it, because everything else is physical with the video anyway, putting the tape in, taking the tape out, all that sort of thing. All the transport controls work flawlessly, and it's incredible because with the one remote, just like everything now, I can control the volume, I can control the aspect ratio, which is obviously receiver and TV functions respectively, and then I can control the video, which is awesome. It really integrates the Betamax machine into the rest of the setup, which I love. So that is all chat about the Logitech Harmony, and I just wanted to put it out there that it is possible, folks. So if any of you retro video nerds like me have any of this older equipment and you're thinking about putting it on your main living room setup, your Logitech Harmony stuff will work with this old stuff, or at least give it a damn good go. So obviously, because it works with the remote, by extension, it works with the app. So I can control this 1983 Sanyo Betacord with my smartphone, which is crazy. I've had it set up for over a month and it still baffles me. So yeah, and I'm the one that set it up. So whatever. That's what this little thing is. This is an infrared blaster. It's basically an extension from the main hub that blasts infrared to these two videos. Absolutely top notch. Anyway, leaving the Logitech Harmony stuff behind, let's take a little look at the video closer and let me tell you a couple of things that I absolutely love about this machine. So first of all, one of my favourite things that I love is it's covered in lights. So we have a light over here, we've got a lovely bright display clock, we've got a light over here, there's lights behind every single button on the membrane, and also my favourite set of lights on the whole machine is this. This is just doing its thing at the moment, but once it settles down, this shows you the amount of tape remaining. It's a tape counter, and it gradually, as you're watching the film, the green dots disappear, the orange dots disappear, and then you're right towards the end of the tape. So that is really cool. You can see that tape remaining, and in the dark that looks sweet. In fact, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you guys how that looks when you watch a film. So lights off. Look at all of the lights on the front of that thing. How cool does that look? Ah, and Karate Kid 2 is just starting. There's the certificate slide. So, bringing the lights back up for just a second, let me show you another cool little feature. Underneath the little flap here, which I'm very glad still operates, because when the video was out in the open, the kids would rip it off, and I was very nervous of it snapping, but this is a robust little machine. Underneath here, we've got all of the basic clock controls and program controls, but look at this, a little dimmer switch for the clock display. It doesn't make that much of a difference. Brighter, darker, brighter. So if you're sleeping in the same room as the machine, or it's just distracting you or whatever when you're watching a film, you can kill the brightness a little bit, which is amazing. So there we have it, little secret flap. Cool feature about this machine back in the day was it did have a camera socket on the front, and it was able to do audio dubbing, which were two features that were sort of lifted this up into the higher end of VCRs. It had some more complex features than some of the others at the time, which is nice. Over here, all of your transport controls, your various functions, and then your channel buttons over here. And apologies for the dust at the top. This is obviously where the standard tunings are for the channels underneath the flap. There you have it. You can't really see, but they are all under there. Obviously pretty much completely obsolete by today's standards. Sorry folks, ran out of space on my SD card. I'm recording a couple of different video projects at the moment, so it's hard to keep track of everything. But as I was saying, obviously the channel tuning section and all of that jazz, pretty obsolete now, of course, because they've turned the analog TV off. Underneath you've got tracking control, a toggle switch between the line input, the tuner and the camera input, so that's a three-way switch. And then over here you've got the main power button, and next to it the timer button. So if you'd set the timer, that's the button you'd press to activate it. Overall, the design of the VCR, it's extremely sleek, and even though it's huge by today's standards, it is much smaller than some of the other models that were available at the time. Naturally, it's a front loader, so that makes it look instantly 10 times more modern. And this is one of the nicest pieces of equipment in the whole setup. It just looks stunning. It's visually pleasing in my opinion, and it really adds to the room. And now that it's behind the mesh, you just get a little glimpse of it, little cheeky glimpse. And of course, you can close that door while you watch the film. Even though infrared blasts through this mesh okay, the infrared blaster is behind the mesh, so I can still perfectly control everything without... I pressed a button and it didn't do anything. I pressed the wrong button. I can perfectly control everything without pointing the remote at the VCR. This doesn't blast out infrared anyway, so there's no point. So as you can see there, Karate Kid 2 in full swing, looking magnificent. And you can see this is just a random tape that I bought off eBay, and overall picture quality absolutely fantastic. A tape that probably hasn't been played in around 20 years, looking tremendous. I don't want to show too much because I'm just going to get a strike on my video, but hopefully it's in the distance enough and sort of low quality enough that it doesn't trigger anything. I haven't got the audio that loud either, so you guys probably can't even hear it. That's another quick little thing about the audio. I was talking about hotkeys. I also have access on this setup now to alter the audio at the push of a button very simply and effectively, and it gives me visual feedback. So with the green and the yellow, I can swap between different audio modes. So I swap straight to mono for the for watching films, and it just pushes all of everything through the center channel, which for the most part, depending on the film, for the most part is the best way to watch it, because it's mono output from the video. I've got a phono splitter sending that mono signal into left, right, just so that you get enough volume into the receiver so both channels are filled. That means if you do want to put it in stereo, you get the same signal through that speaker and that speaker. It's not one-sided like a mono signal. But if you actually put it in mono, it'll just send everything to the center channel. If I put it in direct, it'll send it. Obviously you don't want it on any of these other kind of modes because there's no surround or anything. Or channel stereo, send it to all the surround channels, which is too weird. Full mono sends the mono signal to all of the speakers, I believe. Yeah, it does, which is kind of weird in itself, because you obviously get dialogue and stuff behind you. But the other setting that I would use, yes, direct. So I'd use mono and I'd use direct, depending on what sounded better with a certain tape. But 9 times out of 10 it'll be mono. But all direct does is, because I've got that phono splitter, it's taking a direct signal from the back of the video, so left and right speakers, and it sounds great. Obviously this isn't a hi-fi VCR, and I do have a little fascination with beta hi-fi. I hope that one day I can get my hands on something like an M40. I would absolutely love one of those. I don't want to replace my 6500 because I love it to pieces, but I am genuinely intrigued by higher quality audio on this format. I'd love to hear it in person, see what it sounds like. There's no massive point going crazy and spending loads of money on buying one of those machines, because the majority of the films, in fact I think all of the films I own bar one, are not hi-fi I think I've only got one hi-fi tape. I've got 3 or 4 stereo tapes, but only one hi-fi tape. So I think I'm going to refer to this video as a mashup. That's kind of a mashup look at the Sanyo and also the Logitech Harmony and everything working in harmony, I guess. I really wanted to demonstrate this piece of equipment that I own simply because I was showing other Betamax related stuff on the channel and I'd never shown what started it all, and it was this machine. I believe it was my birthday of 2015. Yes, because I was still living at my parents' house. My birthday of 2015. I got it sent off to Kevin almost immediately, and I got it back by Christmas of 2015. It is now January 2019, so this Christmas it'll be 4 years. So a very new hobby for me, really new. Always wanted to get into it, never thought I would get into it because of the pricing and how hard it was to find a working machine. But then I just learned about it and learned that there are people out there like Kevin who do have the talent to fix these crazily complicated contraptions. And yeah, I'm now in it, and I'm in it pretty deep because I've got loads of tapes. Excusing the mess, I haven't had a chance to really tidy that much. Excusing a lot of mess down there as well. Here we have my Betamax collection as it stands today, with the exception of a few tapes. You can see some of the tapes that Kevin's got me, and the kids do come over here and fiddle with these, so yeah, they're not in a great order or anything, but we've got Betamax, 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 all behind here as well, and that's Betamax, but from there up is VHS. We've got my complete Red Dwarf VHS collection, got some Doctor Who, some Halloween, just, you know, some essentials. This is one of my favourite films that I've discovered while collecting for Betamax, and it's also a stereo film. One of the things I've spoken about in the past is, I think I did a video in 2016 or 2017 about collecting Betamax tapes and how it was my new fun hobby. And one thing that I said in that video was, I love the fact that it introduced me to new weird films, or rather old weird films, but new to me. And these are films that you can get them on DVD, you can get most of them on DVD, but to find them on DVD, you've got to know what you're looking for. On Betamax, I can just look at the cover, look at the title and think, do I want to watch that? Hell yeah. Sometimes you end up with the weirdest stuff. Now, as kind of cliche as it is amongst the VHS and Betamax collectors, I do primarily collect horror. That is the kind of fun thing for me. I love horror films, and I love old horror films, so I primarily collect horror. But from time to time I will make an exception when I see a good deal on a film that is not a horror film. For instance, Karate Kid 2 in really nice condition, big box for super cheap, 4 quid, 3 quid, something like that. I just can't pass it up. And then anything that isn't horror but it is a real favourite film of mine, then I will not say no to either. So the only example that I can think of right now, and it's got to be here somewhere. Here it is, right on the side. This is one of my favourite films of all time. Harrison Ford in Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. It is a tremendous film, and yes, I did love the sequel. This is another stereo release, awesome. I did love the sequel, Blade Runner 2049. I thought it was tremendous. My best film of 2017 by miles. The sound design was just to die for. So this is one of my favourite films of all time, and I will get it on Betamax. So it's there. It's not in the best of condition, like the physical condition is really, really good, but the playback is pretty okay. I watched it with my dad because it's also one of his favourite films of all time. In fact, he was the one that introduced me to it. So just like many awesome things in my life, you know, my parents have been a huge influence, and Blade Runner, my dad, just definitely so glad he showed me that film. So yeah, I do make exceptions, but mostly horror. And here's a couple of examples of tapes that I haven't watched yet. They're in the not watch pile. And we've got When a Stranger Calls and Dead of Night. 2 random films that I've picked up and have not seen. So I look forward to watching those. And yes, most of the time I do make Jess sit through them with me. So this has been another one of those examples where I just share one of my passions with you guys. I hope you've managed to get something from this video. It's been really interesting recording it before Christmas, and then doing the time travel thing and coming back to it, revisiting it. It's been really fun. So I hope you've enjoyed this little journey. Hope you've enjoyed seeing the Sanyo VTC 6500 in action, especially in conjunction with the Logitech Harmony remote. And as always, I will see you in the next video.